right. Hello, everyone. All right. Episode 101, super fun. Jason Ledlow, Trevor Nelson, HGA Fundraising, the free HGR, the HGA free webinar series is recorded in front of a live studio audience. I just want to let everyone know that. If you enjoy this, please send it to a friend. If you're here, as mentioned, chat function is up and running, Q&A function, good questions, good topic. If you're viewing this as a recording, please give us some comments in YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and let us know some feedback. This is a topic that's very top of mind, Jay, very, very top of mind, how to profile donors post-event. And we mean that in the most respectful way. and it's top of mind, and we've got some real world application because, and I'll just go right into the story of what happened. Last Friday, as a matter of fact, we were doing an event with a friend who's an auctioneer as well, a very, very talented, very heartfelt gentleman. It was a University Scholarship Foundation event, and we had 3 items in the live auction. And one of them happened to be a Tuscany villa for 6. And this is not going to be a rant about consignment opportunities. However, that's what they were using, and it was our product. And they sold, confirmed 9 times. They sold 9 of these Tuscany villa packages for 6 adults for $10,000. And that's a massive win. That's a huge win for a live auction. That was just one of the 3 items. They netted $75,000.
And just to give you perspective, they netted $50,000 or $45,000.
Yeah, almost.
They made 100. They made 100% on their money. They netted 50. They made it.
It was kind of like a dream come true for what we do in telling people, hey, this is what you can do. This is what you should do with it, and this is how it can impact you. And did we expect it to sell 9 times? No, we did not. Quite frankly, that was a record. That was only one of the 3 items that sold. So there were other items in the event. They netted $75,000 with 3 consignment opportunity items in the live auction. Now, back to the beginning. The Tuscany villa for 6 sold for $10,000. And we're talking to the auctioneer, who's a very smart individual, a very, very adept fundraiser. And we're also talking to the organization post-event. And what we brought to their attention was, wow. And the impetus, honestly, for this episode, because it's such a great conversation to have, we said, gentlemen, you just so happen as well to identify, 9 possibly new major donors and major supporters. Now, then we further the conversation. How many of those folks out of those 9 buyers, donors, did you know already? And they said 5. Okay. So that means there was 4 people in the room, Jason and I contend, that probably would never have given $5,000 or even $10,000 at the event. There were 4 people in the room that they had never met before that each made $10,000 donations at their event. Furthermore, Jason and I talk. How hard do you have to work in your organization to make those kinds of relationships? How long do you have to work, and how many people do you have to meet before you can identify a $10,000 donor? And what's that worth to you? So reverse engineering the whole thing. We've talked about this before. The data from your event, profile your donors. You can see, based on categorically how much they've given, how much they gave at your event, and you can identify potential and real major donors that you can create a relationship with, right, for years to come. So I hope that's not too much to unpack.
Well, I don't think so. I think that's just right on. I mean, I think the big deal is that, if you're not profiling your donors, you should be. And we're going to do a really quick exercise on how to do it.
Yeah.
Because you guys work so hard at these events, very, very hard. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work, a lot of volunteer staff. You do all that. And it should be, there's 3 things, is raise awareness, celebrate, and raise money. Raise awareness means identifying new donors. And so this is part of that exercise. And this is one of the things I think is real interesting. When you do this for a few years, and you can go and take your last year's information if you haven't done it. This is, and you haven't done your event, you've got one coming up. You can do this last year. But what I want you to do and be thinking is you want to do this right after your event. because it's fresh in everybody's mind. Your committee's there together. The people that built these relationships, everything's all there together. And you got all the stuff. You wait till next year and everybody starts over, a new committee, maybe different board members, different committee chair. All of a sudden you've got, your event chair is different, and you go, well, I don't know. And everybody starts back off at zero. We don't ever want to start at zero. You got too much time and information, too much hard work. One I do thing, stay to the end and win. We're going to have a great trip to give away at the end that you can use for a fundraiser. So I was too excited.
I was too excited about the data from last weekend. I'm sorry.
So
brother,
I'm going to just do a real quick. So the first thing that I want to show you a really simple way that you can do this. I understand a lot of people have software, fundraising software, and they say, well, we've got this. That's great. I'm not suggesting you do anything different with that, but this is just a simple way that you put in your file and you have this going forward. Because who here just raises money one time a year and stops? Raise your hand if you just do one event, stop, and you don't ever raise money for anything the rest of the year. I see 0 hands. Okay. Everybody knows you got to do this.
Loaded question. That was a loaded question.
So, I'm going to just share my screen real quick, and I'm going to just show you a simple spreadsheet. And we're just going to do this together. This is part of an actual, just a composite of a small event. And you can see I've taken the last names off, but we've got the front names. So this is just the total amount that this person gave. Okay. And I just wrote some stuff down. And you notice down here, I put some names down that have zeros. There's a reason for that. And I'll come back to that in just a second.
Let's do it. Yep.
So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a couple of columns, insert, and we'll just do one more. And then I'm going to do this, and y'all have heard me talk about this on the people exercise. Can write, we'll just say this one's giving capacity 10K plus. Okay.
Get the one.
This one.
Yep. No worries. Sorry.
Can bring people to event. Now this is just, I would simplify this. You can just say they're a people person. Special access.
Absolutely.
These are the 3 things that I think are imperative no matter what you're doing, anytime you're doing an event, to know these 3 things whenever you're doing it. And that should be 10,000.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down here. I don't even need to look at this, but if I haven't, this gives me an opportunity to do this. So this is Gary. Can Gary write a check for $10,000? Does he have the capacity? Obviously he does. So I'm going to say yes. Can he bring people to a table? Well, he sponsored a table. So I'm going to say yes. And special access, he has a jet. Okay. So we're going to say yes. And I'm just kind of making this part up, but we'll go down to Bill. Yes, no, or we'll just leave it blank and blank. John, yes, blank. So you kind of get the idea. I'm just going to profile my piece. Sherry, I didn't think she had any capacity, and we just do all this and we come down here, but she could fill a table. And this one I don't know. And then we come to Jerry, and I've got zeros across the board because I don't even know. Now, the next thing, this is pre-event, okay? Now, you can do this post-event too, but you put these numbers and you see, are they giving up to their capacity? Well, I can see that Gary did, and Bill did. John did, so close. Maybe I didn't get everything there, but here's where the things get really interesting. So let's go down here, and let's just say Susan, yes. Susan could, Beth could, and April could. But did they give it that capacity? No.
Not the event. Yep.
No. And no. And you bring up a really good point, Trevor. Did they do it at the event? So this is a real interesting, the next part is, were they a sponsor or were they a guest? Now you can do the spreadsheet any which way you want to. I'm just want to implore you to gather the data. That's really all I'm suggesting.
Could you put if they made a donation, like a sizable donation, could you put
well,
that?
I would just say, we know what the amount is. Yeah. What I would say is,
I mean like pre-event, brother. Sorry.
Well, I'm saying they were a sponsor. So if they're a sponsor, that means they were known to us. Okay. This is my words. I'm just doing this. Like I said, you guys, create this yourself. You can get as detailed or as simple. You could do this as one. Were they a guest? Yes or no?
Yep.
Okay, let's just make it really simple.
Yep.
Guest. No, no, yes. No, no, yes. 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 And I'm just making this up, but you're going to find when you do this, you will know whether they're a guest or not. And when you do this, all of a sudden, just like we talked about with the auction where they had the benefits, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've identified 4 people who showed up to our event as a guest who knew nothing about our event, and they gave significantly. They were significant donations. Now, so my question is,
massively important.
Are they worth going and having to generate a relationship with? I would say so.
Of course.
And when is the best time to go have that relationship and create those relationships? Right after your event. Now,
right after you just
my thing
recognize
is,
the mission. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And how do you do it? How do you create that relationship? I'd love to hear what everybody thinks. So you get somebody who shows up, you've never been to your event, they just spent $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. What do you do? How's the first time you're going to reach out to them? What are you going to do with them?
I'm going to pick up the phone.
Anybody want to go?
Just throw it in the chat feature. Any feedback? Maybe you've done this before. Any feedback?
Call or invite for coffee. Okay. Ding, ding, ding.
I like that. I like that, Adrian.
Thank them.
Call them, invite them for a tour. Perfect.
This is my suggestion.
Good.
Don't ask them for anything. Don't ask them for tea. Don't ask them for coffee. Don't ask them for doing anything. Pick up the phone and go,
thank you.
Hey, Tiffany. Wow. Hey, this is Jason. I'm with ABC Charity. I just want to thank you so much. I want to personally call you and say thank you for coming up. And I know you came with Trevor and Shelby, and I just really appreciate what you did for our organization. It means a lot, and just thank you. That's all you do. Because here's the thing. If I ask you to meet for coffee, I'm asking for something. I'm suggesting that the very first time that you contact them, pick up the phone. And I mean, you're going to send emails out and stuff like that. But the first time is just thank them. Just say thank you, acknowledge their connection, acknowledge what they do. And this is the third thing I would suggest that you do. Give them a return on their investment. Because of what you did, we're able to send another 5 kids to camp, and we just can't thank you enough.
There you go. Tangible.
That's the simplest, most easiest thing. And I think it needs to either be the board president, the CEO, executive director of the organization, or maybe your head chair. If you had somebody that was over the whole thing, directors of development. I have so much respect for you guys. I think this is really, really important to understand. I think this has to come from the top. That's my opinion. It's my thoughts on it.
I love it.
And the reason that I say that is this is just a thank you. It's an acknowledgement because it just means something that way. Now, if you're the director of development and you're the person in charge of running money, I think that next time is for you to reach out and say, hey, Tamara, hey, this is Jason. I'm the director of development. Just want to thank you again. I would love to have you invite you in for a tour, or meet you for tea, or meet you for coffee. Whoever's going to nurture that relationship is where I'm going.
Do you tease that in the first conversation? Do you tease that, or you just focus on the one thing? It's gratitude.
I think it's one thing, and it's gratitude and gratitude only.
All right. Good.
Because I just identified a potential $10,000 donor. Somebody gave $10,000. So they've given once on an impulse. For some reason, let's all be real frank.
Maybe it was the wine.
They could have had some wine.
No, I mean the wine that we got.
They saw a trip. They were going to go anyway and doing all that. But, they have capacity. They showed up, and we want to be able to go deeper in the relationship with them next time.
I love that.
And that's how you do it. So, if I go back to my little list, though.
It sounds subtle, bro, but I think that's a really great
I go back to my list, and I'm looking here, and I'm going down this, and I do this with anybody. Let's say, and we break it down. Let's be realistic. Let's say anybody that gives $10,000 or more that, is the deal. That's an executive director. That's the deal. 5,000. You got to just break your own deal. I don't know what your numbers are. If you had 15 people giving you $50,000, maybe that's the number. Okay. But you know, this is important. You go, well, that's a lot of time. It is, but it's precious.
I think it's
a
so
super investment.
And then also talk about the timing of it post event, Jay. It's got to be kind of like, you know,
within the week, within the first
right?
week. If you don't do it the first week of that event, it loses, I think, by a factor of about half.
So that's going to ruin the whole out of office that we see post event.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of people. They go, I'm bailing.
I'm out of here.
Fine. Pick up the phone. If you're flying out, if you're having your event on, postpone your travel for a week. Give yourself a week to clean everything up and then go. That's my suggestion.
Do the work.
Okay. Now, here's the reason I put this down here, because this is what I've found to experience when we went and started analyzing different events with people and we started looking. We would go down here and look, and we said, oh my gosh, well, Pam, yes, and yes.
Capacity.
And all of a sudden,
can write the check. Yeah.
She could, she did, she would, but I
drew a blank.
You know, we have a relation and she didn't do anything.
What happened?
And so now it could be the fact that she, you know, may have given a significant gift prior to. And I'm talking, when I say about giving, I mean sponsorship. If there's sponsorship, underwriting, anything, they fall into that deal. This is not just night of, but especially whenever there's somebody new. You know, and that's really what we're talking about here, to profile these donors, because it also lets me know that, you know, and we did this with an organization that I've been on the committee for years. We went through and looked, and these table sponsors, that were buying the table and bringing people, when we started sending the reports to them, all of a sudden their guests started changing because they realized they were bringing a bunch of eaters and consumers and not givers. And this was you've probably heard me talk about it before. It's an event with all guys, fights, cocktails, all that stuff. And so it was like, well, this is just this big party. And so what it did is when we started taking that information, distilling it down and giving it back to the people that brought their table, they could sit there and look, I brought 7 guys with me and they spent nothing. You know, I spent $12,000 to get this table and they gave nothing. Now, that may be what you want to do because, you know, guys, hey, it's a party. I just want to bring people and we're going to have fun. But the people that really care about your organization, the people that really have bought into the mission, they're going to think about that differently. Now, I'm not suggesting you call to do this. This was a specific, but that data is important. Yeah. Because you may have somebody who, you know, comes and does, and they show up, you know, they've been here for the last 3 years and they've never given anything. Maybe the reason they haven't given anything is because we haven't given them any attention and we haven't asked. Because, you know, we all have had exposure to those donors who they have significant capacity, they can give, but they don't want any notoriety. They don't want anything. They're the ones that'll slide a check. If you pick up the phone and call them, yeah, they'll give you money, but they're not going to, you know, maybe not, they don't attend your event. Maybe they're not going to raise their hand at an auction because it might draw too much attention. They don't want that to be that way.
I want to interrupt you, brother.
Yeah.
Jerry Joe, yeah, your board members are very strategic with their guests. I think that's really, really important. We are always stressing that. Hey, my mom was a bank teller, so I'm not disparaging bank tellers. My mom's fantastic with numbers and all that stuff, right? She works for United Way now. It's funny. But we want the bank CEO to buy a table, but we don't want him to invite the tellers. No offense, but we want to be very, very choosy, right? We want him to invite the board members of the bank and their, high net worth individuals and friends, right? As guests. Victoria, great question. And that's why I interrupted you, Jay. I'm sorry. Are the thank you calls only for big gifts or also for smaller gifts by people capable of bigger gifts? And Jason kind of laid that out with the spreadsheet.
That's where I'm going with that.
It's like, hey, Jane came, Jane did not give. You know what I mean? What's going on? Or Bob came, bought a table, didn't give. No one at the table gave. You know what I mean? So, what's your response to that, Jay? As far as calls?
That's where you've got to, maybe the reason is that you haven't established a relationship with them to understand what they're doing.
Okay. Cool. What their motives are. Yeah. And
you know what?
Feel,
and if you think
maybe they need a tour, maybe they're
here's
ready
one of the things,
for a tour.
First of all, there's nothing that's fair in life. Okay. Fair is a place where pigs get blue ribbons is what my friend of mine used to tell her daughters when they didn't get what they said, that's not fair. And it's a great saying, we're here for one thing, at the end of the day, we need to raise money. We need to create relationships to raise money, to fill the gas, to fulfill our mission. If I really believe in my mission, if that's really what I'm here to do, then I've got to be the most expedient way to do that. The closest place is just, the closest, what is the closest distance between two lines? Between straight. 2 points is a straight line. I can't remember how to say it. I didn't do very well in geography.
I get the point.
That tells you everything you need to know. I didn't do very well.
Well, we're meteorologists, if you think about it. Yeah.
So the point of this is, when I'm reaching out, I need to profile and know, first of all, who are my big folks, who showed up and gave at capacity within that realm. Who are the one, and I need to, did I have new people that show up? Do they have that capacity? The reason I say you want to do this really quick is because if you get your committee together, you get your board and you go down the list and you say, hey, who is this Kevin? Who is this Kevin guy? Or I'm sorry, I'm pulling it back up. This person, Sherry, she gave over $4,000. Who is she? And somebody goes, oh, well, she was at my table. Yeah, she just came. I invited her last minute. Wow, 4,000. Okay, what does she? Can she write a check for $10,000 and not miss it? Can she fill a table with people to come to an event that'll spend money? And does she have special access? All of a sudden, we've added one more person, because if you follow up and you follow through, then you can establish that relationship. Because I know the person that, the bank teller who gave $50, God bless them for doing what they did. And we want to be thankful, but I'm not going to take my CEO of her time or his time and have them call in the $50 donors. Okay. It's just, you've only got so much time and, for effort, all those things is return. And so it just helps you to focus your effort about where you're going to go, what you're going to do, where you're going to spend your time. That doesn't mean, if somebody gave you $1,000 or $500 and they have the ability to give 50,000, yes, absolutely. I want to create a relationship with them.
100%.
They've showed up. I have a reason to reach out to them. Before that, I'm going to pick a deal. Let's just say John gave $1,000 at our event. Never seen John before. He came with Trevor. I might have known who he was. I had an idea. I know he's got deep pockets, but I had no connection to him. I went through my phone. Nobody knew him. I didn't even know Trevor knew him. All of a sudden, I have a reason to reach out and start a relationship.
I love that.
And when you take these opportunities that are right there, this is the prime time, and you just simply do it.
Good.
It plants a seed, because what the expectation is, and I'm telling you, as somebody who's been received those calls, somebody starts saying, hey, I'd love to take you out for tea. All that tells me is you want more of my money. That's all I heard.
I just love drawing a line with thank you.
I think you just
enough.
And
there's so much power.
But when you just go, hey, Trevor, gosh, man, thank you so much for showing up. We really appreciate it. Means a lot to our, just so glad that you came. And, you impacted a lot of lives.
How much you raised that night.
With that and really helped us hit our goal. Thank you so much.
I love that.
That's it. Yep. He's going to be left going, wow.
All right.
That was memorable, because in a good way. I haven't had a call like that. You'd be surprised how many people do not get those calls.
I'm going to interrupt you again.
Yeah.
What's the ethical or legal boundary for sharing individual giving with other people? Becky had a question. I don't know. I mean, are we doing that? I'm sorry.
Say that again.
Becky had a question. What's the ethical or legal boundary for sharing?
When I say sharing data, I'm not, that's why I took the last, I just made up the names on this is a made up sheet that
It's a good question, Becky. It's a good question. Yeah.
Within your organization, you're not sharing it outside your organization. I'm talking about sharing. Yes. If somebody comes to your organization, it is absolutely ethical and legal for you to, within your organization, board, committee,
to good
go,
question, Becky.
Hey, Trevor Nelson gave us $10,000. Who knows Trevor?
Yeah.
It is absolutely do that. Now, whenever I talk about the team captains, that's the people that when I say a table captain, I'm using that loosely. That's the table sponsor. I'm just saying, hey, here's a report of everybody that came to your event, that came to your table. They know this. It's within the deal. Yeah, we're not sharing this. I'm not going to send that information, from Trevor's table to Becky. I'm not going to do that to in another organization. That would be unethical. Okay. Within the group, I don't think there's any that it doesn't cross any lines.
Bev had a good question too, brother. Did you see that?
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Can we give table totals without mentioning specific
Okay,
names?
this is what I
Thanks,
do
Bev.
not
Thanks,
think. I think it's okay if you want to do that post event to the person that brought it and say, hey, wow, I just want to let you know, Trevor, thanks a bunch for, everybody you brought. You were so generous, but let me tell you, your guests were too. You guys were the number one table. You raised $35,000. Thank you so much. I think that's, but now I wouldn't. Now I have seen people do table totals and somebody won a prize. It's just a little lame to me. I think it's just kind of lame, but
we're okay with being wrong because if it works for you, fantastic. Don't fix it if it's not broken. We're opinionated, but we like being wrong sometimes. All right. Any other questions for anyone? Any other questions?
Did that answer your question, Becky?
From
you
anyone.
Specifically, we're doing that. I just wanted to do that, but. And I want to ask you, Jason, Jason, you asked a question, or you said, hey, we thank everyone who attended varying levels. So whenever I say you thank everyone, what do you do afterwards? After you thank them, what do you do?
I want to hear that. And I want to touch on this too. Gosh, who said this? I'm so sorry. There was an older one. It could have been Jerry Joe. Oh, a personal note. Tiffany, I'm a big believer in personal notes. I think a personal handwritten note is awesome. I don't think it supersedes that phone call immediately to say thank you afterwards. I just think it's just a hot button, like Jason mentioned, right? It's just, it's top of mind. Oh yeah, Desi. What about sending a card? I think cards are awesome. Doesn't let you off.
But I don't.
Phone call.
I think.
Hey, send the card. Send the card.
I think you should. We had a deal, a board that I was on. They would put the cards out in front of all the board members, and we would write a personal note to everybody who gave. But it still doesn't. It's not the same. It is important. I think it's very good.
For sure.
But I don't think it's the same as the CEO or executive director, because
pick up the phone.
Believe it or not, you guys, those of you that are executive directors and CEOs of your organization, people think a lot to that. They think a lot about what that is. They don't take that lightly. Oh, wow, the CEO called me, the executive director called me. That's special, and that means something when that person does that. And I think it's okay if you got the executive director and the chair, the chairperson or the president of the board calls and just says thank you. Don't ask them for anything else. Don't do that. Just thank you so much. I think it's great within that first week, because it's unexpected. Everybody if I go and give somebody, I expect to get something, an email, a note or something. If I make a significant contribution, it's kind of expected to do the unexpected, to say, wow, thank you so much, make that personal call.
Heartfelt.
And I think it's interesting what you just said. They go into a stewardship track. And so I'm going to talk about that for a second.
Yes.
My suggestion to everybody here who is in charge of raising money, more than just this event, you've just been given a list of people to reach out to for your next event. Whether it's a golf tournament, whether it's something else. And I don't mean where you just simply send it out there and you go, hey, we're going to put them on our email list. I'm talking about, you're sitting there trying to go through everything and you're like, yeah, you know what? We've got this golf tournament coming up, and wouldn't it be cool if we had somebody that was a golfer? Hey, you know what? Chris, his nephew is on the Nike. It's not the Nike tour anymore, but maybe it's not the PGA, but doing this, maybe we could get him to come and do a demonstration or something, to do something like that, or be, to hit the ball for the long drop, some name. It's a local university. They're looking for, they've got all kinds of stuff that they have to do. Oklahoma State University, they have NIL money, the name, image, and likeness. Even if you don't have a deal, they get money, but they have to go and do things. And this is the thing. Maybe it's a nonprofit. You call your local university and say, hey, you got a golfer come out for the long drive, for the, to hit a ball off of one of the tees for us, do a demonstration, all that kind of stuff, because those guys are so good. Men and women both are so good that it's fun to watch.
For sure.
And so all of a sudden, because I've got my deal. I've profiled my folks. I know what they have access to. We've really spent some time on that. I think it's just tragic though, because I can't tell you how many times I go talk to people on their and this is the second or third time I've talked to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't pull that out. I go, well, where's the sheet we had from last year? Where's our people exercise sheet from last year?
Yeah.
And this is what they always say. They go, oh yeah, and they pull that up, and all of a sudden, away we go.
Yep.
Because they know who the givers were. They know who the people were. They know where to go and ask. But I'm suggesting you start before that. This is just becomes, part of your deal. Because what happens, we kind of start asking the same people over and over and over again. Does anybody ever feel like that? Anybody have a hand
no joke.
where you feel like, well, I just asked the same person over and over and over again?
Mm-hmm. Um,
This lets you kind of spread it around. But, I will say, people still want to be asked.
Mm-hmm. Anthony still want you to spend time.
I know Anthony on here can write a check for $100,000 and not miss it at all. The he's a billionaire. It's okay to go ask. It's okay. They especially if once you get them where they really believe in your mission, it's okay to ask them. In fact, a lot of times they get offended when you don't. I think that's that's the reaction I think that surprised me the most over the years, is when you talk to somebody and they're like, why didn't you ask me?
Yep. I wish you would have. Don't ever let that be the reason why kids don't go to camp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The guy said, don't ever let a kid not go to camp because of money.
Pick up the phone.
I got plenty of money.
Yep.
And I can't take it with me.
Yep. I love that.
So, I had a guy literally told me this. He gave a $25,000 gift in a fund to need. And he said, his response was, I said, thank you so much for showing up and showing off. And he was the guy that he liked everybody to see it and clap. And it was, I walked down the stage and high-fived him. And this is what he said: I'm too damn old and too damn rich. I'm just too old and too rich, Jason.
We want to know. We want to talk to that guy. We want to talk to
he wants to. He was. He's looking to give it away, but he wants to be. He's not just going to write a check. He wants to be courted. He wants to be thanked. He wants to see the impact. He was a very shrewd investor, and so he wants to hear that.
Well, I was going to say something. I always go more.
Everybody goes, what's that guy's name?
Jamie, I go more 30,000 foot view with these things. I get really lofty. And Jason and I were able to share those kinds of loftier thoughts and ideas and existential things on our podcast and stuff. And recently we were talking about opportunity. We talk about what we have, what we offer, our products as opportunities to raise money. Does that mean you have to use them? No. Will they work? Yes, we've proven that. Do we love you if you don't use it? Absolutely. Will we teach you how to use other people's consignment opportunities? For sure. The point being, the 30,000 foot view is that all of these things and identifying these people and these donors and having these conversations, and it leads to the gentleman that says, I'm too damn old and too damn rich and I'm not taking it with me or whatever.
Get closer to your mic, Trev.
Oh, sorry, pardon me. You never know. I was getting all sitting back in the armchair. You never know where these opportunities are going to lie. You never know. And you have to treat all of them with the utmost respect, right? The utmost respect and the utmost time and attention, because we don't know where these relationships are going to end up. And what I mean by that is, because I'm an optimist, they're probably going to end up in a really good place if you spend time with people and you identify these donors, because it's an opportunity. And I think that's what we're always asking for, right? In business, you're still running a business. If you're running a nonprofit, right, you have to raise money. So, we're in business ourselves. Well, it's always what we're asking for is opportunities. It's just another new way to identify it, right? And what do you,
I think,
what are you going to do with your at bat?
Yeah, I think what you've got to do is first of all, we've got to get comfortable with the idea of money. We as fundraisers, as professional fundraisers have to become comfortable with talking about money.
Yeah.
And we have to be thoughtful about talking about money, and not in the context of our ability to do
Your
it.
relationship with money.
This is the thing, because when we're thinking about money and we're thinking about this, we've got to step outside of our own personal budget space, because, maybe I can write a check for $10,000, but I would dang sure miss it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whenever I'm talking to somebody who could write a check for $100,000 and not miss it, I can't use my money and think
that's a different ball game. Yeah.
I cannot put my deal. So we have to become comfortable with that.
Well, I think those become limiting beliefs, man. If you let that happen, those are limiting.
When we talk about, let's use professional athletes. Professional athletes are profiled. They're analyzed. They're looked at. They're inspected.
Yeah.
They're from the top to bottom. How many shots per game do they take? What's their percentage? What's their batting average? How many times they get on base? They look at all these things and they get ranked. The best statistic that we have for donors is how much money they've given.
I love that. God, it's so
that's and it's just a simple thing. It doesn't mean, I could have somebody who is, I'm going to pick Samantha, and, on my list, I'm using my list right here, and she gave $2,000, $2,500. For her, that was a big move. She's passionate about our organization. She loves it with the fury. This is her number one, donation that she's made. She's never given that much money. And she gave it to this. This was a big deal for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got,
it is a big deal.
In the same thing, we've got somebody, Chris, who gave $2,500, and it was nothing. Chris spends $2,500 on dinner. Okay. So you got to get a comfortable understanding of that. And these things, if I don't profile, I won't know that.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't profile, then when I go and do that, it gets all skewed.
We talk about this. We say the same things week in and week out. You're being intentional with your time. Be intentional with your time. Do it immediately after. Yeah. Someone said something about, Jay, what do you think about walking up to them night of the event, saying thank you? Does that let you off the hook from making the phone call later?
Absolutely not. It does not let you off the hook.
That was a loaded question.
Yeah, it does not let you off the hook. I think you should. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that the executive director and CEO, whichever one you are, should not work at all the night of the event. The only job you might have to get up and speak and say welcome. Other than that,
follow up.
Your job is to walk around and handshake, hug, say thank you, and just be seen and visit with people.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. That's what I think.
Yep.
The director of development, it's your job usually to make sure this thing gets pulled off right. And I think there's some reasoning behind that, because most people who are directors of development want to move up into the captain, the captain seat at some point in time. It's just kind of the way it goes in the world of nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so, it's not because I don't think that the CEO or executive director shouldn't work, because I think they should, but they're the face, the person, the top, and they need to be out there being seen. I just think it's important to go out there, welcome, thank you for being here. Hey, it's great to see you. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing that and you're a CEO or executive director, I want you just to think about the best time that you have to be with that many people at one time who care enough to show up for whatever reason. Maybe the only reason they came is because Trevor invited them, but we want to make sure we get an impression with them.
Love it.
And it makes a difference. So,
love it.
But you can go thank people, and I can go spend all the time in the world, and I'm over there going, hey, thank you so much for being here.
Right.
And, I've got some kid who's got his mouth full of feed going, well, yeah, okay. Well, he's, and I say this very respectfully, but, he's the intern from the bank. Okay. He's working at the bank, and they went down and said, hey, we sponsored this deal. Anybody want to go to the dinner? He goes, yeah, I do. Because he's never been there before. He got to, put his fancy clothes on and go down there. And maybe one day he becomes somebody. I'm not suggesting it's not all the same thing. And maybe someday he does become somebody and he becomes a volunteer and gets involved. But again, we're trying to make bang for the buck. So, being comfortable with money, those kind of things. What other questions do we have about how to profile donors and what to do with that information?
Yep. absolutely.
Oh, I want to bring, while y'all are coming up with some questions, I do want to say this. So yesterday we had a real cool guest on for a podcast. It's going to be coming out here in a bit, and this was real interesting. So all this guy does, his company is, well, not all they do, but a big part of what they do is they study and do research on donors.
Yes, so good. Oh my gosh.
Really good stuff.
Scientific.
And what they found was, just because they've given to you one time, there is almost zero reason that they'll give to you for a second time. I thought that was so.
They've done. I trust his research too. It's like,
that's no indicator that they will give
like
you a second time.
Stuff. Yeah.
Whereas, and what he's saying is it's generational change. Where my generation before, we kind of have one thing, we stick to it, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, and this is what I do, and I give my check every year. I get my letter in the mail, and here you go, and I send a check, and that's what I do.
We're having some really cool guests on lately. I'm telling you what. And then I was wrong. If y'all heard me say this, so Tim's going to come on a webinar. Long story short, we're going to tease it. Tim's coming on a webinar in the next few weeks. We have Lori coming on about Big Ass next week. I thought last week I said Lori was coming this week, and that's why we had this beautiful gift come into our world with profiling donors and identifying new major givers at this one event. It was just like, aha, we had to do this. So, but next week we're gonna have Lori Zoskraska. She's gonna come on. So good. Lori, her previous profession was asking Fortune 500 companies for money, and she's going to teach small nonprofits and medium and large nonprofits how to do the exact same thing. So that was really, really cool. She's written books about it. Lori's just a real, awesome fundraiser.
So that's going to be coming up. So I want to get to Jamie's question real quick.
Yeah.
Jamie said, what's your best advice about sponsors who traditionally don't fill their entire table? I'll tell you a really simple one, and you let them off the hook when you do it.
Yeah, great question.
Underwriting opportunities.
Yep.
Sponsorship and underwriting. I think they're the most underutilized. From our research, it's the most underutilized way to make money and bring money into your event. What I mean by that is, you've got a bank that's been spending $5,000 for a table, and they do it every year, but they never send anybody. It sits empty, or they say they give it back.
That's a sunk cost. Yeah.
Well, we're going to lose money on it. We're better off instead of putting a table out there, let's go sell that to somebody else who's going to, for $5,000, who's going to do that. Take their $5,000 and let them be the technology sponsor. Okay. Checkout sponsor. Banks like money. Checkout. Hey, checkout brought to you by ABC National Bank. Put that out there, sell it to them for $5,000. They get their name on it. They help you. They get to do their thing. And you got part of your overhead covered. Jamie, and make it do it. So that's the real simple thing.
Jamie, we've done entire episodes on it. It's in our YouTube catalog. So subscribe to the channel and watch that. And then if you want to talk to Jason about how he sets it up, he actually sets up a template that he sends out to potential sponsors and attendees of just check the box. This is how much this costs. This and that. He can.
Well, I don't. We do it in our. We have a way. Just suggest.
Well, you authored it, bro. So hang it. Don't be modest. Don't be modest. But Jamie, Jason will coach you on how to do that. So we have a Calendly link in our link tree. It can go out with the recording. Very, very easy to set up time, or you can just email him, jason@hafundraising.com. Jerry Joe, great question. I guess we're not very good at self-promoting, Jay, because some people that are on the webinar for the first time don't know what we do. Yeah. So anyway, Jerry Joe, we do. I can email you, no problem. It just so happens to be awesome. I actually don't call it consignment.
I'll tell you what, hjfundraising.com has all of the stuff, has the pricing on there. It's really simple, and we're happy to have a call with you.
I changed the name this week, as a matter of fact, because I told Jason we have the agency now to decide these things. No one ever asked us if it was okay if we called our products consignment. They're consignment opportunities, and with opportunities, you can raise a lot of money, So I actually changed that name this week. As a matter of fact, I'm going to trademark it. Consignment opportunity. We do have them, Jerry Joe. Love to help. They happen to be awesome. And if you have others as well, we can show you how to raise the most money possible, because we play well with others and we want to see you succeed. So also, this is your first webinar. Hopefully you can tell this is not like other webinars. I used to say earlier, this is not your grandma's webinar, where it says Charlie Brown's teachers, wah, 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 the whole time. So interactive. Jerry Joe, tell a friend. Awesome. Appreciate you. Tell a bunch of friends. Tell a bunch of folks in your network. Can't thank you enough for coming. So would do, definitely. Jamie, seriously, I'm not messing around with you. Jason did author this really amazing template about how to set up your different underwriting. We have friends of HGA on the webinar right now that have absolutely hit it out of the park doing the exact same thing. We did a podcast with Becky. She does a phenomenal job with sponsorships and underwriting, and check that out.
We'll get you the link. We've got a link to just the show about sponsorship and underwriting. We'll put that in this email when we send out the recording of this one as well. Please, you know, and if you know anybody else that's in this space, profession, you know, other people that are doing it, please share it. We just really, you know, that's what the fee that we ask. You don't have to use our stuff. We have great software. We have great items, trips and experiences that you can make a lot of money with, but we don't ask you don't have to do that. What we ask is you'll please share this with other nonprofit professionals so they can learn more. We just want to get the word out.
We want to rise all boats. We want to rise all boats. That's the whole idea. Don, thanks for the feedback. As always, appreciate the heck out of you. And then, hey, check it out. So I'm very, very excited about our guests. We've been having some really amazing conversations, not just on the webinar, but check out Hey Nonprofits Raise More Money, our podcast. Hey Nonprofits Raise More Money. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, super easy. Jason and I riff. We talk about the weather.
Well, and they're all 15 minutes and
it's all short,
20 minutes, and it's
short
really
form
to it.
But just we have aha conversations with some guests that you maybe have never even heard of before, and just folks that are just really, really, really good at what they do, and that's going to be really fun. Oh, also, Jay, I mean, shoot, if anyone has any recommendations of folks that are that would be good guests, let us know. I mean, we're always open to all sorts of ideas. That's how folks are coming. Courtney, the YouTube channel is just HGA Fundraising. No space, HGA Fundraising. Check that out. Share that with everyone in your network. And if you subscribe, it's awesome. Really, really appreciate it. Every webinar is uploaded on there, and podcast as well. So thank you for coming, Courtney. Appreciate you. You want to give something away?
I do.
What you say?
Let's see.
What do you want to give away? What are we giving away?
We are going to give away a trip that they can use to raise more money. It's a 3-night Vegas trip. And fun. You know what? Because
it's an opportunity.
Because it's something new, we're going to even give you how about we give $100 in HGA bucks to him as well?
Okay, so $100 in HGA bucks that you can use towards a opportunity item, an auction item. A consignment opportunity item in our catalog. Absolutely. Yeah. So the 3-night Vegas package will be fantastic as a prize, silent auction item, what have you. And then $100 towards something that you can use and also sell multiple times. We'll teach you how to use consignment too, if you need any help. So Jay, drum roll.
Okay, let's see. I've got it pulled up here. Jamie. We
have more than
Miller.
one Jamie. Jamie Miller. All right.
Miller. All right. Everybody give him a big hand. Wait, Jamie.
Okay. All right. You
got a trip that you can use in your next fundraiser to raise more money. And hey, once again, we really appreciate you guys coming on. If we can help you in any way,
reach out to us, please.
Zero obligation. We're happy to do a coaching session with you. We'll send you a link to set up on your calendar.
Like I said, we're not doing very good about self-promoting, are we?
Yeah, but we do this. We do this coaching, and all it is just to help you raise more money.
Whatever you
Quite
need.
frankly, what's so funny is when we do this, we spend more money. We spend more time talking about how to raise money, not with consignment. Consignment always is. We don't get to it because there's so much more to do to get these things going.
Consignment's kind of a no-brainer.
We're fortunate that we get to see a lot of information from a lot of stuff from coast to coast in the United States, and we just want to share that information with you guys. So if you have anything we didn't hit on, you got more questions, please hit us up. Trevor at hjfundraising.com, Jason at hjfundraising.com. Happy to spend some time with you.
That's Trevor with a T. That's Trevor with a T, Jason with a J.
T-Rev.
I think I need to, T-Dog. If
you need to get married, Trevor, he can marry. He's an ordained minister.
I am a minister. Yeah, I am a minister, as a matter of fact. So, wow.
Minister of fundraising.
Man of the people. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Well, thanks so much for coming. Really great.
Seriously, come on next week because we're going to, if it doesn't matter, this lady's going to be so cool because she's going to talk about how to make those asks, how do you go about it with Fortune 500 companies.
I hope we got our dates right.
Is this just for next week? Big organizations? And she said, absolutely not.
No.
All sizes.
Tell you what, this is going to be a scorcher. Yeah, we got some good ones lined up, everybody. That was really sweet. Yeah, thanks,
Jerry, for being here.
All right, bye, everybody. Y'all take care.
Thanks, brother.
Bye,
I'll see you.
All right, thank you, brother. Love you. Talk to you guys soon.